Hello, my name is Simon Gibson. I'm the founder of World Speech Day, and welcome to the third episode in our series of talks about transformation, in which we'll be encouraging people from across the globe to share their ideas on some aspect of transformation, be that social, cultural, political, climate, and so on. Today, we have a young speaker from Canada, Achintya, who's going to be talking to us from a perspective about freedom, and she'll be sharing her ideas on that most important subject. So it's a great pleasure to have Achintya here, and let's hear what she has to say.
The Charter of Rights of Australia, the United Nations, the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, the American Constitution, and the Universal Declaration of Human Rights are all organizations and documents that were created to protect people's rights. Despite our having these many organizations today, in 2020, we see that not everyone around the world is privileged enough to have such protections. Yet we have to fight to preserve these freedoms in our society and help others who are less fortunate than ourselves and others who have no freedom or less freedom. Not a single person should take his or her freedom for granted. A famous Jewish Austrian Holocaust survivor, Simon Wiesenthal, once said, "Freedom is not a gift from heaven. You must fight for it every day." And this evening, ladies and gentlemen, honorable judges, I will share with you 3 of the many examples that demonstrate Wiesenthal's enormous wisdom. Humans naturally always want freedom, whether internal or external. When I first thought about it, I did a lot of thinking and began to reflect on Wiesenthal's quote. There were many thoughts that would shape my speech, but then I realized how true freedom is nuanced. Really, when I first thought about it, my first response to freedom was doing whatever we want, but then it seemed terribly wrong. Real freedom is not when we are happy in our freedom to do whatever we want. It is when others are happy because we are able to share our freedom and limit our own freedoms in considering others. As Nelson Mandela once said, "For to be free is not merely to cast off one's chains, but to live in a way that respects and enhances the society and freedom of others." For example, if I'm making a lot of noise when practicing music, that is taking away the freedom of my neighbors to enjoy peace and quiet in their homes. The fight for freedom is thus a struggle to find harmony and balance between our own freedoms and those of others. We seek a harmonious balance so that we can all live together and enjoy freedoms without impinging on one another. This is a very difficult task and it requires a constant negotiation. Another thought that came to me from Wiesenthal's quote is that in the past, many people were discriminated against by the governments, such as the Chinese, natives, Jewish, Japanese, and Black people. These people didn't have freedoms. They were not allowed to take part in society, and they were restricted by the government to follow their traditions. Many people fought for their freedom, and these are the people who we need to revere and follow, such as Martin Luther King Jr., Malala Yousafzai, Gandhi, Rosa Parks, and Ida B. Wells. They have shown us that it is possible and good to fight for freedom. We are living here in Canada today where we genuinely attempt to embrace diversity and invite different cultures and people in our great nation. These diverse groups have more freedoms than before, and we must handle matters of freedom with care, respect diversity, and continue on together in the right direction. Finally, a personal connection. My family is from India, and for many years, my parents had to work from 6:45 a.m. until 10 p.m. daily in order to make ends meet. Because of their work and my classes' homework, I didn't get to spend enough time with them. Now, since we moved to Canada in 2015, my family has struggled so hard to adjust to our new life here, but it is certainly so much better today than before 2015. We feel grateful for the freedoms that are available to us in Canada that weren't available to us before when we were in India. There is one recent example from my country of origin, India, that truly touches my heart and embodies Wiesenthal's quote. There is a temple in Kerala, a part of South India, where women were restricted from entering for many centuries. The women fought as their freedom was being taken away from them. This forest was inhabited with many wild animals, and the temple was located in the forest. So, according to Indian traditions, women were not allowed to enter. They fought as their freedom to enter the temple was being taken away from them. They were strong believers of this powerful temple god, and they wanted to pay a visit. However, time and time again, they weren't granted access, so the women fought against the Indian government and recently took the case to Supreme Court, and they won the case in 2019. Then, women were granted access to enter the temple. This example shows how brave women fought for their freedom and got back rightfully what was taken away from them. I will end with this. Sometimes words that hit home most come from songs. Bob Marley, a famous musician, once said, "Better to die fighting for freedom than be a prisoner all the days of your life." There is one recent example from these days. We still have this impact on coronavirus where we have been caged in our homes and we're not allowed to go outside. That is taking away our freedom and limiting us to stay inside our houses. As my examples demonstrated, we need freedom and we must not take it for granted. Freedom is so precious that even when attained, we need to keep fighting every day to retain that freedom. So let's remember what Simon Wiesenthal told us. Freedom is not a gift from heaven. You must. Thank you.
Thank you, Kinsia. That was a terrific talk, and I'm fascinated. Do you feel that speech comes naturally? Have you had lessons in making speeches? You're so accomplished. How has that come about?
Now, I've always been scared of giving speeches. I used to have stage fright, but then I thought I'd just give it a try when I heard of this.
And it worked. Wonderful, wonderful. And what about personally? What do you think we can each do personally to preserve freedoms? Is it a state of mind? Is it something that we can do? How do you think we can contribute individually?
It depends. If it's internal, then it's a state of mind. If it's external, freedom is considering others.
It's about other people, giving them the space in that,
Yes.
in other words. That's a very enlightened position, Kinsia, and thank you so much for your talk. It's been wonderful to hear you from Canada, and a very special pleasure to see someone so talented. So thank you very much, Kinsia.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity, Simon.
Great. Speak to you soon. Bye, Kinsia.
Bye, Simon.